Welcome to the Scaleup Valley podcast, where we bring the best of the best to help you scale your business from 1 million to 1 trillion. Today, we have a very special guest. His name is Hugo Macedo, the VP Community at Unbabel. Hugo, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be back. It's always a pleasure.
And it's great because for the ones who want to know more, you have moderated some of the panels on scaling up marketing in the past at Scaleup Valley podcast. And it's a pleasure to have our first one-on-one interview. So we will dissect all your hard-learned lessons across this scale-up journey with Unbabel. But for the audience to get to know more about you, let us know more. Who is Hugo Macedo and what is Unbabel?
Okay, so my name is Hugo Macedo. I'm currently VP of Community at Unbabel. Just to have a context, Unbabel is an AI plus human platform, translation platform that delivers human quality translation at scale. Our main use case is enabling global companies to provide scalable, very efficient and agile customer support across languages. Without relying on native agents. And we use a combination of AI and humans. And that's where I come in. I am now focused on the human part. So I manage what we call the community, which is our crowd of translators across the world, and provide them, of course, the means to help us deliver that scalable translations. And I'm in Unbabel for almost 6 years now. I've played several roles, including VP of Marketing for 3 years before this. I'm married, 2 kids. Before I had several experience in startups, multinationals, consulting, so quite diverse experience.
Absolutely, and I love it. And usually I reach out to you when I have questions because given your amazing background, I can always pick one of your skills and use it on my favor or of the community itself. So I really appreciate all your time. So let's pick your marketing hat for a while to see something that what we are seeing in a lot of brands worldwide. So it's becoming, there is too much noise outside, and it's each time more difficult to really have a strong positioning statement, a strong differentiation. And we are seeing for the first time brands thinking more long-term and investing on building their brands, not only the corporate brand, but also personal brands, product brands, event brands. And so, but all about creating a philosophy, almost a religion around the brand. And that's a process of this category building, branding building, and also related with personal branding. And we see as good examples, for instance, Mark Benioff and Salesforce, David Cancel and David Gerard, that now is not a Drift anymore. It's a Privy, if I'm not wrong. And so we see some combinations of CMOs working with CEOs to build their own brands. We also see SVPs of sales and other VPs working a lot on their own personal brands. So you have been working really hard to position Unbabel in a very differentiated way. So what are your hard-learned lessons that you can share with the community?
Yeah, I think the big shift is on the what we usually call B2B business, and it's actually taking some of what most B2C brands already do for a long time, is this brand building, is acknowledging that people don't take rational decisions. I mean, they take emotional decisions, or a big part is emotional, even in situations that are B2B, so involving a lot of features, a lot of value to the business and so on, but there's always an emotional part. And that emotional part also relates to one thing that's very important in B2B, which is trust, right? So, because in a way, when I'm choosing a supplier, I'm also betting my reputation within my company, my objectives. There's a lot at stake, much more than individual decisions. So trust is very important, and trust is built on connection, right? So trust, I believe, is based on connecting with people. So that's why it's important behind the brand, not only developing a brand that has an emotional, has a meaning, I can connect at different level, but also all these people that you refer that I know who's behind that brand, right? From the account executive to the CEO, the more connection I have with those people, the more I can trust, and the more I can relate, because I feel connected to them. So almost as the ideally is that the customer almost wants to work with us. I'm so excited with what you're doing that I want to work with you, because I want to be in that journey that because you're talking about changing the world, and I want to be there. So if you can create this relationship, I think that opens all the doors to talk business, right? And so is this acknowledging that before we talk business, we create a relationship, right? And I think more and more B2B business are acknowledging that and putting their efforts both on the brand side and on the people side.
Absolutely. There is also an interesting trend going a little bit out of script here on B2C and B2B podcasts. So typically B2C podcasts, we look for traffic metrics, the amount of people, and B2B podcast is much more about, again, the quality of the content, the quality of the relationships, the quality of the community. So it's not about the number, but about big numbers, but it's about the quality of that specific community, and the closer the better, because the relationships would be stronger and the results that everyone will extract from that relationships, which and give and get back, will be higher. So everyone, that's this sense of belonging, that we are not just another number, right, in the community.
That's also very important in B2B. It's not a popularity game in terms of, it's not about quantity of how many people in general hear your podcast or read your blog or consume your content. Is really, the people that you're focusing on, your target audience, that's the focus. And that can be very, very narrow. If you're selling, I don't know, cybersecurity systems, right? You want to talk about cybersecurity people, right? Not, you can have other interests, but people interested. But so that's very important in the sense that don't get distracted with what we usually call the vanity metrics, right? Get focused on building those conversations with the right people.
Absolutely, that's a very good insight. So don't look to vanity metrics. Look to building those conversations and relationships.
I did an exercise. We were talking about awareness, and actually, I went to Crunchbase and actually filtered companies that were at similar size of Unbabel, similar stage, and by the Crunch rating, and took the top 10. And actually, I asked around who knew these companies. No one knew that companies, right? B2B companies, because they're doing amazing, but no one knows them, because we are not their target, because they are focused on that specific segment. And if they're doing a good job, they're focusing their dollars, their plans on getting those people. So it's okay that we, out of target, don't know them, although they are doing an amazing job. So the way you measure awareness, it's important. It's important.
Yeah, there is a lot of noise, and going again out of script here, about account-based marketing. So having extremely focus in and you are smiling because we've been discussing this a lot in the past. So what's your take? I've never heard about your take. I've heard about a lot of guests that we had that we have been in touch with, but I've never got your opinion there.
So it's like mixed feelings in a way. Like marketing people and people that design marketing systems and all this are good at marketing, right? So they love to create these new shiny new things, right? If you go to the deep principles of ABM, it's really nothing new, right? So it's just shuffling things around. We're still talking about making sure you're very focused, making sure your plans are very directed to the customers you want to reach, right? And there's this ideal scenario that you do a marketing plan for one customer, right? But how much scalable that is? Is it automating messages and so you create different messages for each customer, a way to go? Is that authentic? So there's a lot of balance here. I think I've seen several ways and several implementations that are not very good. Like, can be a good excuse to do outbound outreach to these companies and do a lot of spam. Oh, we're focused on this company, so we're going to spam everyone in that company. Or can be a good platform to work with sales, actually align plans. We should be always have been like that, right? So we don't need to say we're doing ABM to align plans with sales, marketing and sales, right? That should be natural. So there's a lot to, it's not rocket science, and it's not the panacea, right?
Exactly. And this is a very good point to introduce the next topic. And this is a topic that I'm really passionate about. And I challenged you to talk about this, which is I had a lot of CEOs that I've been working with, and also here on the show, and other leaders in the different areas, especially on the revenue leaders, where we were talking that getting from 0 to 1 million ARR is really, really difficult, right? It's the starting up stage. Getting from 1 to 5, if you are doing things right, you start having some traction, you start having a certain repeatability, and you can get there in a freestyle mode, almost with the founding team, with the first seats on the leadership team. But then from 5 to 10, or for some companies, maybe a little bit later, from 10 to 20 million ARR, if you don't have the so-called revenue machine, or the retention and growth machine in place, and the right people on the right seats, on the revenue seats, and saying marketing, sales, product, and CS, and you start approaching the problem of scale as a problem of blaming and finger pointing, saying that we are not getting to the results because the marketing guys are not doing their job, because the sales guys are not doing their job. No, it's because products is a mess. No, it's because CS doesn't have the playbook to upsell those accounts, because we already have enough customer base to get to 10 million, to get to 20 million ARR. So you have been there, done that. So what are your comments on this problem that we see a lot also in the SaaS napkin of Christoph Jens, of Point 9 Capital, where we see those metrics that we need to achieve, and the growth machine, the right leadership team, the right revenue seats are repeated again and again and again. So long question.
Yeah, I mean, I that's the real deal, right? Is how you scale, and scale means how do you create repeatable processes, and how do you ensure that? So I think what happens at that stage is that you start having middle management, right? You start having more people. So you need to have processes, and you need to have a clear responsibilities and accountability around the business. So you no longer go there because of your amazing intuition, right? Intuition is not enough anymore. So I think in the beginning, because you have especially we know about the success stories, they're amazing people, great intuition, great contacts, they great at doing product or marketing. So you have this founding team or initial team that is very strong and can cross those first hurdles. I think that the big hurdle is, can they recruit and replicate that? Can they create the right management layer to continue to execute that? Can they really create the processes that make it repeatable? And then also, as the teams go bigger, the marketing team, the sales team, the CS, and all of that, that you need to do handovers, and you no longer, as a manager or as a VP, control the handovers. And the handovers is where the friction point comes, right? And you see several symptoms, either the blaming, like you're saying, oh, this is not a good lead, or this was not properly qualified, or this was not, the expectations of the customer were not great, all this blaming. Or also I've seen also symptoms of rework, is that, oh, I'm going to qualify again the customer because actually, yes, sales qualified, but I need to qualify again, right? So I'm going to do the same questions, or even in more questions, to re-qualify the customer, the deal. So it's like because that happens because I don't trust the work they did, right? I don't trust their qualification. So I'm covering my job and my responsibility by qualifying again. And this creates a lot of inefficiency, right? And friction. So all this friction is really what's breaks the escape velocity, right? Is all the frictions that we accumulate. So it's kind of, technical guys talk about technical debt, right? When your code is not able to code and
Exactly.
to grow, to scale, etc. There's a lot of process debt that we create as we grow, right? And we need to. So I think the challenge is, how can we take care of this, right? How can we ensure that we balance execution with taking care of the process debt and the responsibilities and accountability across the business. One thing that I've seen in several companies, we also did at Unbabel, is actually to have a team. It's called BizOps usually, and this has been happening in several scale-ups. And this team, the BizOps, is kind of it has an internal consultant. They help the teams to improve process and to get the right metrics in the right way to measure performance and to identify improvement opportunities. And why do you need that? Because what I see is that the teams, when you're really growing fast, the teams are so focused on the day-to-day delivery, right? They have no time or space to step back and see what's wrong and to analyze and really figure out, okay, there's a better way to do this. So sometimes it's better to have someone that comes in and helps the manager. Look, I've analyzed the process, I've analyzed the different friction points, and I think we can do better. And then they together decide on how to improve the process. Or really, when there's a handover, which is the typical case, really get the perspective of the two teams involved and really help them to work better. So sometimes it's a good way to make sure you keep improving as you grow. But definitely a challenge, definitely a challenge.
Love it. And I love the way you're talking about the requalification process and about trust. So, and it makes me think about the famous The Five Dysfunctions of the Team book of Patrick Lencioni. And it's all about that. So building the right teams for each stage of growth. And I think that sometimes because we are so busy, as you said, and that's why BizOps, for instance, it's really important, can be very helpful. We forget that having the right people on the right seats and building high-performing teams, amazing culture, is what makes people stay together and teams stay together during chaos. And Scaleup is a constant chaos, right? Everything is changing, everything is broken at least every single 13 weeks. So every 13 weeks, it's kind of 2 or 3 years in a normal company, because we are trying to double every single year. And this completely
we usually say we run into dog years, the times 7 multiplication. So every month is 7 months, every 2 months is 14 months. So definitely, I mean, people, it's all about people, right? And that's a cliche, but very, very true. I think the challenge for a scale up is the rate of growth and the rate of needing to hire more people to cope with that growth means that you can slip into going to hire too fast and make more hiring mistakes and accumulate that, right? Just because we need a body, we need someone to do this, we need help, and at the same time, or you get the person to do some kind of process that you didn't have time to automate because, the developers are all booked and we have no way to optimize this process. So we'll just hire someone to do this. And you do this, and this again and again. And again, is like the problem of the short term. You need to deliver versus the long term. You need to build a great team, right? Exactly. And that's the balance, and that's the difficult part, that you need to deliver today, this month, this quarter, but everything you'll do today in this quarter will also impact the future, and in people more even so, right? So the quality of the hiring is really challenging. So I think that's one of the reasons also that it's hard to scale is how can you hire that fast, that good, right? Is like you have two different axes. One is quantity, another is quality, and it's very hard to really maximize the quality and quantity.
Yeah, and there is something very interesting there, and kind of a paradox, which is if we have that growth machine or that revenue machine or retention machine, we should not need superheroes to make the machine to work. So if we are relying and dependent on superheroes, it seems that the machine is not working. And if only a salesman that is there, or a saleswoman or a salesperson is there for the last 7 years, can sell the product and can sell the contract, something is broken in the machine. Or even only of the 2 of the 5 account executives are achieving quota. But at the same time, as we were saying, it's all about having the right people in the right quantity and quality. And these kind of companies are playing the Olympic games of business, as I like to call it. And if you don't have the best Olympic players and the best Olympic teams, it would be very difficult to get the Olympic trophy.
Definitely. I think there's a combination of 2 things. Is really you need the repeatable process, but that repeatable process also needs to be iterated as you grow, right? Because your challenge is going to change in 6 months is 1 year. But that change, it doesn't justify that you don't have a process to do things now, right? That is easier to hire a new salesperson, get it onboarded, ramped up quite quickly, and making her or him productive very quickly, right? Or in other function. So it's really a combination of you need good people, because you really need to be amazing at every function, right? And delivering your product and your promises. And you need the great people also to understand when we need to change, how can we improve, right? What is the market saying that we should change, or what we should change in technology and all of that. So there's this combination of repeatability, but also improvements, continuous improvements.
Right, absolutely. And there is something very interesting that we also discussed several times in our conversations, Hugo, which is if we want to keep doubling every single year, we need to be working already this year or the year before on the growth of the year after. If not, it would be too late. If we, in the second half of 2020, we start thinking about the growth of 2021 and doubling, especially at your size at this stage at Unbabel, much more mid-late stage company, it would be too late. So if you don't have the systems and the machine in place to get to the next layer, the next threshold of revenue, it would be almost impossible. But it is also very complex, because in hypergrowth, to think about short, mid, and long term, and sometimes there is this bullshit that we start talking ourselves that it's all about execution. But yes, it's all about execution on the right direction. So it's execution with strategy, not only execution or only strategy, which is typically the discussion that we have. So one with another, and one feeds another. What is your take on that?
I would say that execution is key, right? Especially if you're going high speed. Just imagine you're in a car at high speed, everything needs to work, because if not, you will just derail and crash, right? Execution is key. So I would say that most of your company is focused on execution, selling the product, the message, the promise, and delivering, implementing on that, right? Then you need some part of your company that actually it's imagining the future, right? It's getting the inputs from the market, from the current machine, right? And imagine where are we going next, right? What makes sense? What's the path after this, right? Is if you think about like the typical 3 horizons popularized by McKinsey, the 3 horizons scenarios is, yes, you have 80% of the people focus on horizon 1, right? And scale up, probably it's 1 year, let's say. is maximize the execution of the current product, current market, the end technology. And then you need to have a layer, maybe the 20% is on horizon 2. And then you'll have the visionary CEO is already on horizon 3, but or at least is pitching that when it creates like the big hairy goal of conquering the world, horizon 3, right? But you need some people on horizon 2, and what's the next product? What's the next market? What's the